Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Marc Netka, where he tells us why you should celebrate your successes, as well as why you should be focused on your company's bottom line rather than the top. Don't go anywhere. Part 2 is just around the corner.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. One of the things that I've started probably about 8 years ago is when I do my annual planning, I sit down for 4 days and I plan out next year where we're going as an organization. And it's a review also of the current year. You know, what went well, what didn't go well. I write down the lessons, because there's always some lessons in there where I screwed up. I'm like, I don't want to do that again. So and I've done this, literally went back to when I was a caddy and wrote down some of the lessons that I could have done a little bit better. So I just, write them down. I don't have to visit them every day, but just, I know I have some lessons there. But what I did was I found myself not being grateful and celebrating the wins. We forget about them. And anytime something comes off my list that I got done personally over the organization, we capture them versus taking them off the list. We remove them from, active to complete it. And then part of the review process is to review the wins. And it's amazing. It was like,
and celebrate them.
Yeah. It was only like 6 months ago. And it's like, oh yeah, we did that. It's like, damn, we really we've got to celebrate, because what happens is our nervous system becomes very accustomed to how we treat ourselves. And if we're constantly treating ourselves as, it wasn't a big deal. It's not a big deal. But if we start celebrating those things and little things, I forget who it was. You know what? It was Jeffrey. This is weird. It was Jeffrey Gittimer. I heard him speak 15 years ago, and his daughter was real young, and he taught her to always celebrate things. And she was always spilling her milk in the morning at breakfast, and they would celebrate the first spill of the day. So she'd spill her milk, and she's like, first spill of the day.
I think that's in his book, actually.
Yes.
In his Yes Attitude book. He recounts that, and he said, wow, she's got a positive attitude.
Yes. I forgot that. I should have brought that up. I should have hit the record button also, but...
One of the things we do at our companies, we try to have all hands meetings, we call them, once a month, where there's no negative things talked about, right? Employees can give shout outs to other people in the company who have done something extraordinary or helped them with their daily job. We celebrate birthdays and work anniversaries. We have a monthly barbecue at the last Friday of every month, and we invite our customers to come with us, and awesome. We do all this stuff at the barbecue. Yeah. Because otherwise you do get in this trap of just talking about negative all the time. Every meeting's about a problem, every email's about a problem, right? Yeah. So you just need to celebrate successes.
Yeah, but the problems are always there, and they never go away. That's one thing when I'm mentoring young entrepreneurs. There was like, when am I going to get to the point where I don't have any more problems? That's the answer.
There is a time, but you're about 6 feet under.
Exactly.
That's its own problem.
I don't ever pray for no problems. I pray to become a better man to handle the problems that come my way. Yeah, they just don't go away. It's funny because for younger entrepreneurs, you just think, it's like you get to the point where it's an issue. They're just bigger issues. I remember, in some of my earlier ventures, where we had problems making a $5,000 payroll on Friday. Then it's $100,000 payroll on Friday. It's like, the issues.
That's right.
The issues can continue. And I love what you said about the profitability as well, because, we're spending. I chose to highlight CEOs on the show this year for 2018 because I want from the Inc. 5000 because I wanted to showcase what badass entrepreneurs are doing, what's making them get the results that they want. And it's really a two-pronged approach because some of the emails that we send out is like, we'd love to have you on the show. Please come on. Tell us how you did it. And the other email that's going out to them is, congratulations on the Inc. 5000. Revenues look great. How's the profits? So it's a two-pronged approach when you said that about the profits. I think,
well, obviously we've been profitable or we wouldn't be on the list 6 straight years.
Good, exactly, right. Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, that's one of the lessons I learned as an entrepreneur in the last couple of years. Everybody's focused on the top line.
Yeah.
But you really need to be focused on the bottom line, right?
Absolutely. It's similar to people that have just come into some money and people that are wealthy. The wealthy don't talk about income, they talk about net worth. Or they don't even talk about it, but that's what they're focused on. They're not focused on income, they're focused on net worth.
Right.
Great CEOs, great leaders are focused on profitability, they're focused on culture, they're focused on their people. The revenue is just an ego. It's what's great. The ones that I think don't really get it focus on the income piece. That's
right. I agree with you. And in the world we're in with technology and software industry, and you hear the term startup all the time. I hate that word. That just means you're not making money. I'm
gonna have to steal that. Startup equals not making money.
It's code for we haven't made money.
Okay, I like that. and a lot of it's become, hey, how much capital can we raise? What's your capital raises? It reminds me of like the 2000s when it was like, how many eyeballs did you have? It's like, I don't know. How about dollars? So what are some of the lessons? You're in a great space because things are. We get the phone call from a business that is in some cases struggling. They're struggling with their profitability, and right away, it's an industry that, quite frankly, is a difficult industry to make a profit in. Let's take the restaurant business, for example. Probably around for a while, but there's some industries that won't be. You're in the tech space, which will continue unless there's something that's going to take over tech. I'm not quite sure what that'll be, but you're in a growing industry. What are some of the things that you did in the past that, looking back, you're like, I wish we kind of positioned ourselves a little bit differently? Is there some decisions that you made that, with the knowledge that you have now, would you have done something a little bit differently?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were in a very niche spot. So for the first probably, 6 years of STS Education, 90% of our revenue was generated by one product, which was we are one of the largest suppliers of refurbished, call it life hardware to schools. And we kind of didn't recognize the shift to Chromebooks early enough. So most refurbished computers are Windows devices, they're not Chrome devices. So that did affect us. So, we had a rough year of adjustment when our margins dropped quicker than anticipated because we moved to supplement, which historically have lower margins. And so I wish we would have recognized that earlier, I guess would be the biggest lesson, and gotten into that and gotten our cost structure right earlier rather than having to go through a lot of pain.
So the refurbished is really where the margins are?
Yeah. I mean, in used equipment to schools, the margins might be 30%, and in new equipment, it's 11.
Wow.
11.5%.
A big difference. Now, where do you get your refurbished equipment from?
All over the world. We import, you name it, Canada and the U.S.
Interesting. So is it companies that are in the refurbishment business, or are they just sending a bunch of unfurbished ones that you then refurbish? How's it coming to you?
Unfurbished. That's a good word.
Unfurbished.
Is
that a word?
We're typically buying from asset management companies.
Okay.
So a big company will lease their technology. They don't typically buy it because they know what the fixed cost is going to be every year. It's under a maintenance contract.
Okay.
It's easier to predict cash flow, and it's a depreciating asset, let's face it. So at the end of the lease term, some asset management company usually comes in and takes those off their hands, wipes all the data off of it, and then sells it to someone like me who does the refurbishing.
Fascinating. I've got a buddy of mine in Southern California that does recycling of equipment. And before they can, do anything with it and tear it apart, they've got to make sure all that stuff is wiped clean. It's fascinating how the control systems that are needed to be in place for the companies making sure that all this data is removed. I mean, it's a serious business. It's under lock and key.
Yeah, when you go into some place like a hospital, they actually do the data destruction on-prem.
Yeah.
They'll go in with a truck with that as a camera in it, so you can see every device, and time-stamped. That's how sensitive it is.
What have you learned in working with schools? It's a different buyer. What's unique about that space that an entrepreneur that's selling to B2B doesn't experience?
Well, I love the customers. I mean, they're not generally professional buyers, so they're friendly. They don't grind you down. They pretty much will tell you where you need to be to get their business. When you find a customer, as long as you get them right, you have a customer for life. I have a lot of my customers who have turned into friends. We call and they just ask me about my business, and they want to know what they're interested in our growth just as much as we're interested in their success. And that's really what a partnership should be about. We both want to see each other prosper.
Yeah.
And I think schools are looking for partners versus suppliers.
That's a good point. I used to have a company, Beckley Carty, I think was the name. It was a school supply company up in Duluth, Minnesota, which did pencils and pads and different. And was that what it was? It was supplies. Beckley Carty School Supplies or something was the name. But that's it. They're not looking for a supplier. They're looking for a partner. I like that. Who is your end user in a school?
Well,
or the buyer. Not the end user, the buyer. The principal, the teachers?
It depends on the product. We typically talk to, traditionally, it's the chief technology officer who's doing most of the buying decisions. But because we've branched into things that revolve around collaboration and student engagement, or STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. So that's things like 3D printers, virtual reality, coding. Now we started talking more to curriculum people and even principals at schools, because there's lots of pockets of technology money. Not one person controls 100% of it.
Got it. And do you ever go out and try to secure funding or grants or something on their behalf? It all comes down to the money, right? If they had more money, they'd buy more of the technology.
It's something we've talked about, getting into grant writing. But right now, I just point them to resources. There are some interesting resources for teachers, like Donors Choose, where they can go on and write for mini grants. We get a list of all the grant opportunities as well, but I typically just pass those on to schools if they're interested.
Got it. What's the future look like? How is it going to evolve? How is the company going to change? What do you see in the future?
Well, it's a good question for me now because we are in transition. I have a partner who's talking about his next phase of life and what he wants to do. He's a little bit older than I am, so his wife would like him to retire sooner rather than later. So, for us, it's finding the right vehicle to get him what he needs to go enjoy the rest of his life, whether that's just having someone come in and invest and take him out, or we've had conversations with investors. I think there's a real opportunity to do a roll-up company. A lot of companies in our space who are having a hard time understanding how to make money in the age of the Chromebook.
Yeah,
it's commoditized, or it's commoditized vendors. It's taken a lot of the value added out of being a vendor, and it's been really, they're training customers to start shopping based on price.
Yeah.
So there's in our industry, there's a lot of companies our size that are struggling to figure out how to make money. So there is opportunity there if we want to grow, and I want to grow. I want to build something great, and lasting. And I always tell people who ask, the minute like I've got enough, like I'm big enough and I'm making enough money is the minute I'll sell the business, because the people who work for me, they're not satisfied. I'm sure that they want to continue to grow. And if I'm not growing the business, they're not growing. So I still want to grow for myself and for them.
Well, at 2016, you're at 28 million. That's a pretty good start to a platform. Get 2 or 3 more of those. You've got a $100 million platform, a little private equity money, IPO. Come on, I'm starting to see the future.
Yeah, that would be the plan.
Yeah. I'm sure, look, if there's not a consolidation play in your market going on right now, that's what these guys look for. They're always.
And we have giant corporations in our space that basically do just sell based on price, that are billions of dollars. It's hard to compete against them. When they want the business, they can have it.
Right.
If it's just based on price.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why margins are shrinking in our industry for most resellers.
Is there some sort of add-on or bolt-on additional service that's not asset-based, be a good margin generator?
Yeah, all the what we call white glove services.
Okay, explain a little bit of that to us.
In the old days, we would ship a box to a customer, or they would open it and they'd set it up the way they want it. They'd load the software on it, configure it, asset tag it, whatever they needed to do, and then deploy it to their customer. Nowadays, most schools want that device ready to go when it arrives. So there's an opportunity for us to do that work here. Asset tag the device, domain enrollments, custom imaging, loading software, even going on site and doing deployments. So one thing we know about schools is they never have enough money and they never have enough people to do the work. And so that's where a vendor like myself can add value. We can take a lot of the workload off of their plate and deliver a complete solution.
And you can start class also in your warehouse for students to come in as unpaid interns to actually do all this work.
And I do that. We do have we do some job shadowing. We've had at-risk youth come into our building and talk to our employees about the struggles they may have gone through when they were in high school. We have a modern classroom here full of the latest technology and furniture that our customers come into for professional development. But the kids' computer clubs have come here, and some of those have turned into real jobs. I've had some people here who started as summer employees who now work for me full time. So yeah, we do a lot of that.
If you're not getting the results you want and need, I guarantee no one's holding you accountable. Now, let's face it, who really wants to be held accountable? Not me, right? Nobody. Why would you want to be held accountable? It's not part of our nature. However, if you want to get exceptional results, you must be held accountable. For $95 a month, our team will hold you accountable to those goals that you want to accomplish in any given month. If you don't like it, ask for your money back. But truly, if you're not getting the results, it's because no one's holding you accountable. The only question is, are you willing to step up?
Keep an eye out for part 3 of our interview with Marc, where he tells us the key to avoiding distractions, in addition to why you should run your business professionally instead of entrepreneurially. See you next time on Peak Performers Podcast.